Welcome to Worthy Ones, the video series where I take all the newest #1 issues of the current comic book week that I read and deem them worthy or not worthy. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, if you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, guys, you came to the right place. So happy Thursday, everybody. And we got about 6 comics to talk about this week, so let's get started. Bloodrik, issue 1, done by Image. This is a 40-page comic for $4. The writer and artist is Andrew Kronicki. I think I said his name right. When it comes to the artwork in this book, it's actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. I love the characters' like facial expressions and kind of like this world that he's in. And it's about this barbarian who wanders away from his home trying to look for food, and he can't do it. And this is something that he has never done before, and you kind of feel like the desperation from this barbarian on trying to search for food. And then by the time he gets to a deer, he like goes and tries to slaughter it, and he just starts to eat it, and he consumes it, and he's like, oh yeah. And then this bear goes after him, and that's kind of like how the book ends. For me, I'm gonna deem this book not worthy, unfortunately. I could see this though being a book for some people, especially maybe if you like Conan or something like that. But I felt like there just wasn't enough of a story here to capture me and go, oh my gosh, I need to read issue 2. There's definitely something going here, but with all the comic books that I read, it just wasn't enough for me. And I'm just going to give this book a C. So I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was good, but I just felt like it could be something more. Invasive issue 1, published by Oni Press. This book is written by Colin Bunn. The artwork is done by Jesus Harvez. This is a 32-page comic for $5. Now, on League of Comic Geeks, this book was not supposed to be released to the 13th. This is the week of the 6th. I have this. Do you guys have this comic if you decided to even read it? Invasive is a very interesting comic, right? So it has to do with like people being addicted to plastic surgery. The art is kind of grotesque. It's dark. It's gloomy. There's definitely detectives involved in this because there's a bunch of murderers out there going after people and just doing these weird surgeries just out in the middle of the streets. And there's this detective that's involved trying to solve this case. And then there is this doctor who is a plastic surgeon herself, and her name is Dr. Carrie Reynolds. And what happens is her daughter was addicted to plastic surgery, and someone attacked her because she was desperate to do the next procedure to go against her mom. And what they did is they put her in this catatonic type of state. They ripped out her vocal cords, and her daughter can no longer talk to her. So Dr. Carrie Reynolds is doing whatever she can to get to the bottom of this case, and she's working with this detective. Pretty interesting stuff. This book is definitely worthy. I like the horror, grotesque side of things here, and it's very much a mystery to see like who these characters are, how they're going to solve this case. Interesting book, very dark. Definitely not for the young at heart here, definitely for an older audience. I'm going to grade this book a solid B. Definitely interesting, and looking forward to issue 2. Thunderbolts, issue 1, published by Marvel. Writer Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, Geraldo Borges is the artist on here. This is a 36-page comic for $5. I was kind of excited about this new Thunderbolts comic book. Looking forward to a new roster. The artwork looks pretty cool, believe it or not. That's Sharon Carter in there, which I thought it was pretty cool. There's a lot of different characters in this comic book. We have, like I said, Sharon Carter. We have Bucky Barnes. You got Valentina Allegra de la Fontaine, Red Guardian. There's 2 Red Skulls in this comic book. There's just a lot of characters in here, and it's a pretty action-packed type of issue here where we get to see the gathering of this new roster of Thunderbolts, and they want to go after the Red Skull. It's not too much like involved plot. It's very much a point A to point B issue, kind of like a setup of what's going to come when it comes to this new Thunderbolt team. And again, you get to see them infiltrate Red Skull's base. They wind up freaking conquering the base, taking out this version of the Red Skull, and that's pretty much the issue. There's no real spoilers here. It's just really badass to see these guys come together and work together. I thought that was awesome. And then what's her name? Valentina Legradella Fontaine. There's a surprise with her where you're just like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. So I thought it was really cool. This book is definitely worthy. I thought the characters were awesome here, and I can't wait to see further adventures when it comes to these guys. And so I'm gonna give this one a solid A. Definitely gets me pumped for issue 2. The Sentry issue 1, published by Marvel. The writer here is Jason Liu. The art is done by Luigi Zargaria. This book is a 40-page comic for $5. Let's check out the artwork in here. I was highly anticipating this book. I was so curious to see what kind of story they can tell without the original Sentry, right? And I can see why people might be turned off by this comic book after they read it, because they want the original Sentry in here, okay? But I feel like this is just something different that you can do with the character without having Robert Reynolds in there, right? So we do get appearances in this comic by Jessica Jones and Misty Knight, which is cool. Luke Cage is in here. We also get a couple of new characters by the name of Mallory Gibbs and Ryan Topper. Now, Mallory Gibbs is a person that has cerebral palsy, and Ryan Topper is a character that wants to be the next Sentry, and he will do anything in his power, it looks like, to go to that length, right? So what made this comic book cool is we just wind up seeing your everyday normal people going to work and, you know, doing their Joe Schmo type of things, and you wind up getting introduced to Mallory Gibbs, who has cerebral palsy, and she's just having a bad day at work, and she feels like she's not going to accomplish things in life, and then all of a sudden, you get to see her develop these powers, right? And so she has this vision of Sentry. She gets like his memories, and then she develops powers. And she doesn't know how to control these powers. She's scared, she's confused, and people are looking for her. And she winds up flying to the freaking moon. Then you wind up seeing this other dude who is actually a mutant. He's like he is a Grubhub driver, right, or whatnot, and what happens is he develops powers himself, and he's just like, man, everyone looks at me as a freak now. And then he comes across what is the villain in this comic book, which you would say his name is Ryan Topper, and it's funny because he is the one that's most likely a Sentry. He's got blonde hair, he's kind of rough around the edges, and he wants nothing to do with, you know, sharing the power. He wants all the power for himself. And when you got to the end of this comic book, you're just like, oh, dang, like I didn't see it going kind of, you know, a little bit this dark. So I really enjoyed it. And this book is worthy. This definitely surprised me. Again, people might be like, well, I want the original Sentry. Who's to say that it doesn't lead to him coming back again? I don't know. But I really enjoyed this book. I like the art. I like the characters. Yes, they are diverse, and people might say that Marvel's pushing the diversity. I don't even look at that stuff, guys. They're just characters in a comic book for me. They're just thinking outside the box of just putting a normal person in there, right? There's nothing wrong with that stuff. Everybody can be included. It's fine for me. So I would say if I had to grade this book, I'm going to give this one an A+. I really enjoyed it. It's just what I liked about it is that it just exceeded my expectations, because I don't know, I don't think I really had any here. So yeah, the Sentry is definitely a recommend. I say go pick this one up. Titans Beast World Tour Metropolis issue 1. Now, when it came to the Beast World stuff, you guys heard that I wasn't going to buy any of these tie-ins, but I said, you know what, let me try at least one of them. And I bought the one that I thought I would like better. And whether if it was good or not, right, I say, okay, if it's good, then you know what? That's a bonus. And if it's bad, well, then at least I saved you guys a little bit of money here. But I wanted to see what this tie-in had to offer. This is a book, regardless if it's worthy or not worthy, that has multiple stories in here. It's got like 3 separate stories, okay? And this book does go for 48 pages and $6. So the price tag might be a turnoff for you right there in itself. So let's talk about this book. The main story in this book has Dreamer as Livewire. It's got John Kent, and it's got Amanda Waller, right? And in this comic book, it has the character of Dreamer who came from Lazarus Planet, who gets to see all these crazy visions, okay? Pretty good artwork in here, I would say, at times. John Kent looks a little goofy, but Naya herself, she looks absolutely gorgeous in this book. But John just has like this elongated neck. He's got like, he looks like a giraffe at times, right? And the art, I mean, there's a lot going on. It's really busy. There's a lot of dialogue going in here, but don't let that fool you. The story here is very boring, bland. There's nothing here. She sees visions, and her visions are going insane, where to the point she doesn't even know if it's real or not, right? So she sees this explosion that's actually happening, and what she's doing is trying to prevent it from happening, or trying to get the people in Metropolis to escape. So she tries to recruit John to actually assist her with this, because no one really knows who Dreamer is, and they don't respect her. So John comes into play here, and he's like, okay, well, we do what we can do. And we find out that the person that could cause this explosion is Livewire. Now, why is Livewire the one responsible for the explosion? Well, based off of what happened in Beast World, right? All of the spores are affecting different types of heroes and villains. We wind up seeing Livewire turn into this creature, and you never know when she could explode. So it's up to the Dreamer to save the day. After 2 pages of fighting, that's it. They save the day. That's pretty much the, main portion of the story. You wind up getting to see Amanda Waller at the end, punching in her phone and be like, ha ha ha, I gotcha. And then you get these other stories in here. One is called Turtle Boy. And then you have another story in here that has nothing to do with Beast World whatsoever. They're already talking about freaking... Well, I guess that's not true. There is a little portion in here that has to do with Beast World, and his name is Garo, right? That's what they call him now, where we see Superman kind of save the day here from preventing him to get possessed by the spores, but then it shows Brainiac at the end of the issue promoting the next event already, and this particular point in time of the comic book, it takes place already after issue 2 of Beast World. We haven't even read issue 2 yet, and we're already getting things that happened after that, and we're already pushing the next event when it comes to Superman. What the hell, dude? This book is not worthy. I'm sorry. We had 2 pages of a fight that loosely connected to this Beast World. Like, it was even hinted at that you knew that Livewire was infected by Beast Boy. It wasn't even implied here. She was just a different species. And it was just, I don't know, it was just so weird. And it took us like half the story to sit there and say, we gotta evacuate the people. Let's evacuate the people. Let's evacuate the people, John. How are we gonna do that, John? I'm like, stop, just stop. And then we're paying freaking another $4 for a freaking pointless stories. Like, God, that's what I hate about sometimes about these tie-ins. This is just not connected, and this just reassures me that I am not going to buy any more of these tie-ins, and maybe you guys won't either. If you're a completionist, I totally get it. I totally understand it. And if you like this book, that's okay. This is just coming from me, and this is just such a bad tie-in in my opinion. I'm giving this book an F. I hated this book. Absolutely hated it. The artwork was okay, but the story was just, oh my God, just not good. Back Batman Santa Claus Silent Night issue 1. So I had no idea what to expect. In fact, when the original FOC came out for this comic book, I passed on it. I'm like, do I need a freaking DC comic with Santa in it, right? But after some convincing from the guys at the comic shops, I said, you know what? I changed my mind. Let's put it on my pull list and we'll see what we have, because it is the season to be jolly. You know, old Saint Nick should put a smile on your face, and you know what? This comic actually did. This book is written by Jeff Parker and Miguel Bandini is the artist on this book. The artwork works good in this comic book. You know, it opens up where there's this big snowstorm and there's these crazy bats, and then there's Santana in this book. She makes things a lot easier to look at as well. And the cool thing about this comic book is, like, freaking Santa Claus makes his appearance in here, and Santa is just a freaking badass. He's like this Norse god Viking that trained with freaking Batman. Like, is this shit real? Like, how come we never knew about this in the past, right? Who would know that Santa is so badass? And what makes this comic so funny while you're reading it is he'll come across like Dick Grayson, and he'll be like, Dick Grayson, 1404, you know, Dick Grayson Avenue. And he's just like, he happens to know everybody's address and things like that. And he rides alongside with Prancer. And we find out that the bad guy in this comic book is actually Grimpus. And I thought that was so cool, because all these bats are attacking everybody in Gotham. And they found out that, you know, you found out the history between these two and how they separated. And it was just a worthy comic book. It's just a lot of fun, and it gets you in the spirit of the holidays. There was great characters in this book, like Batman and Damian, Santa, of course, like I said, Santana, Batgirl, and just Nightwing, and it all worked really well. All the characters were fun with each other, and I just can't wait for issue 2, man. This was so freaking good. I would not be surprised if this is one of the highest books of the week, probably in my top 5 of the week. So I say pick this one up, guys. This was an A+. I loved seeing the backstory here of old Santa, and man, oh man, so good. I am so happy that I did not pass on this book. I even got the scratch and sniff cover as well. So there you have it, webheads. There are my most worthy comic books of the week. I want to know in the comments below, what do you deem worthy and what not worthy? And guys, as always, I'm going to leave you more content for you to check out. In fact, this is my newest comic book haul, where I show you everything that I picked up for the comic book week. And of course, guys, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but more importantly, guys, always read your comics. I'll see you real soon. Enjoy your Thursday.